This is October 1st, 2025, 6:30 PM. It's a Long Point Region Conservation Authority Board of Directors meeting. And we welcome everyone here. I want to remind you all that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel at a later date. So, going on the meeting, any additional items to you've read your agenda? Are there any additional items to the agenda? And seeing none, we'll ask for a motion that the board of directors approves the agenda as circulated. Mover and seconder, Jim, and all in favor? Carried. Declaration of conflict of interest. And seeing none, the minutes of the previous meeting from September 3rd, 2025. Any amendments? Any read it? Any changes, additions, errors? Nothing for that? That's good. Well, I guess you've done a good job on this. So we need a motion to accept the minutes of September 3rd. As we might read. Rather than say all in favor, why don't we say, is anybody opposed? Seeing none, that's good. So this is the rising and film review of the minute. Nothing. Department application, pages 6 to 14, and we'll ask Leanne. She carries through that.
So good evening. As always, LPRCA staff have provided a report just outlining the permits that have been approved since our last board of directors meeting. So for this one, there's 21 applications, and if you have any questions, I can answer those.
Any questions on the 21? Shelley?
Thank you. Through the chair, it's not really just a question, it's more of a comment on the application for LPRCA 11.3/25. It's nice to see that application is here and that it's approved. I know these folks been certainly trying to get their applications through, and it's really nice to see that they'll be able to rebuild their homes. So thank you very much for working.
Good news is good news. Say thank you. Anything further? Mike?
Yes, it's with respect to application 156/25. And the report at the very last sentence indicates on July 5th, 2017, the board resolution passed for a requirement for safe access. Can you give us some background on that one? Because there's something that's come up on council just recently with respect to a neighboring property. I just wonder if it's one of these that are in conflict with the neighbor. How about a neighbor?
So through the chair, there's quite a bit of background. So at that meeting in 2017, there was, I believe it started with the deputation, and Norfolk County and LPRCA staff had been working together on that with a safety strategy because there's no safe access in Long Point. And this was the resolution from that. So that's kind of a very high briefing of what happened from there. So I'm not sure if this is one that's come that you're talking about that's in conflict with another. It's just our policy says that there needs to be safe access. And this is saying that as for the motion on that date, the requirement has been satisfied.
I see. This was the motion for all Turkey Point.
And Long Point, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was going to be my question. And if this was for both one the answer. Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you, Chairman. This comes up quite often, and maybe if Leanne can explain a bit more, there's a difference between reconstructing a home and new development, and then apply to one and not the other. I'm not even sure if I understand it, but it's been explained to me several times, but that is how simple I so.
Chair, our policy document for permitting, it talks about the extent of what you're doing. So it breaks it down into replacing. So it defines replacing as same size. You need to meet the following criteria. If you're adding on an addition, you need to meet the following criteria. We call it redevelopment when you're reconstructing a place or putting an addition on that is greater than 50 meters squared. So then it's considered redevelopment. You have to be fully flood proof. Your foundation elevation has to be minimum. Your foundation has to be designed to withstand hydrostatic, dynamic, whatever forces are there, and safe access is required. So that is how the policy document is written. What you will see at committee of adjustment is because we kind of put on our other hat and we have to provide comments on behalf of the province with respect to chapter 5 of the provincial planning statement. So in there, it also talks about safe access. So our obligation is to review chapter 5 and how that applies to the development application. So you will see in there that we note that there is no safe access. Because based on the PPS and everything, that area does not have safe access. But for permitting, because we have this motion from the board, that applies to our permits, but it does not carry over to our planning comments. Does that help clarify some of it?
Yeah, no, I thought the rest of the board might be interested in how complex it is. You even have to wear different hats, you know, you have your LPRCA hat and you have the job delegated down from the province hat. And even the rules are say the same thing, you interpret them differently, and it is complex and people just don't grasp that a lot of times.
Quick,
Yeah, so at one time, we had the 120 meters from a PSW. And then it's 30, right?
Through the chair, it's not necessarily stay away, it's the regulation limit extent. So you can still do stuff depending on what you're doing within the regulation limit. But now it is only 30 meters. So it includes the wetland still, but now it's 30 meters from that wetland instead of 120 or potentially significant wetland.
So because of that, are we getting less applications to look at because of the big difference? Huge percentage there.
Yeah, so through the chair, I think there was a report that I do, it's usually in January, I talk about the permit stats. And I think at that time, I usually go through, or this past year, I went through and kind of looked at the difference between the two. So I looked at everything that was between 30 and 120 meters that now we will not receive. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but there will be quite a few that we will not receive if that change.
All right, thank you.
you're going further. Okay, well, with that, I'll take a motion that the board of directors receive the staff report, section 28 regulations approved permits report as information. Mover to seconder, please. Deborah and Shelley. Anyone opposed? None carried. Under new business, general manager's report, Judy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things I want to note was that at the time of writing the report, Safer did confirm that we were at a level 1 low water advisory, and we still remain today. He looked at the numbers. So we are still in a level 1 low water advisory for the whole watershed. Also, I just wanted to note we did have the WARB 1812, and we on September 6th and 7th, which was a successful event. We're estimating we had over 500 visitors over the 2 days, and we did fundraise $2,000 to help with the additional costs of running that program. So that was from individuals and community members, which was great. They're definitely they definitely want to continue with the event, and I think if we're continuing to fundraise, we can have that event. And I think the number is a little bit greater than we saw the year before, and I think if we consistently
have the program to offer the event, we'll see probably increased visitation. So, the decoy gallery room, has basically been completed. We are still accepting, decoy donations. Chris Van Passen was out to the event on September 20th down at the Conservation Education Center. We had a group, the Canadian Decoy and Outdoor Collectible Show and Sale. The association hosted, they rented the boardroom and the classroom. So it was an opportunity to also showcase, give the people out there a sneak peek of the gallery, decoy gallery room. And we are planning, I don't have a date yet, but it'd be late May for like a grand opening of the decoy gallery. So, also the other thing I want to note here is that we have scheduled December 11th at the mill for the Christmas dinner with board and staff. So just if people can get that into their calendar, that'd be great.
All putting that through the calendar.
We can,
Invites will be sent out by Jeff though, as well, formal invite.
Yep, thank you very much. Any questions? Cool.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended the War of 1812 event as some other board members did. And I just want to commend staff, just a great event. I also felt, I'm glad our general manager confirmed that I thought there were more people this year than previous years. And I was also surprised at the number of people that I met there who told me that was the first time that they had gone and they're planning on coming again. So I just got this general deal that there was a lot of people who now I think are hearing more about it. And each year I'm anticipating we'll have more people. And again, commending staff and especially Jessica Kane for her organizational efforts. Good job, Jess. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. All good news. Chris.
To follow up with that, I did attend the decoy and collectible show and did get a sneak peek at the gallery. And from what I learned, some of the decoys for sale upstairs, I'd have to trade my car to buy them. And none of them even compare in quality or history to the ones we have downstairs. So I think the donations we've got quite a collection down there and we're still adding to it and it's fantastic down.
When people are in awe, from what I understand, it's much more than they're expected when they're located. So, okay, while we're on a good news story, Vice Chair Doug Ruck and myself attended the memorial service dedication, memorial forest dedication, and it was well attended. What would you think was there, Doug? Maybe close to 100 people showed up.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, easy for that. The weather was perfect. The trees were planted. The young people there had an opportunity to take a shovel and help pack the tree, and very well attended. So it was a very, very positive thing.
yeah, I think we had over, but we had 100 chairs from Valley Heights.
Right.
They loaned the chairs to us, this high school. So, staff said there was 100 chairs plus the benches, so.
Right.
Put out.
Well, from what I understand, that was the first time attending it, and I'll probably go to everyone in the future because it was very touching. And when you drive by and you see someone who you've lost, and you drive by the forest and you think, well, they contributed to it. And the staff did a great job. I hope they're watching this video because they worked very hard and everything went on from the edge. And thank you for that. Jim, Jim was there.
Yeah,
Jim,
thank you. I have a question that one person asked me, said, why don't they plant more than one tree or two trees? They're never gonna get the field full.
Right. That's a good question. Is anybody prepared to answer that one? Why do they only plant 2 trees a year?
So I think actually there was 6 trees purchased to be planted for that service. So usually historically we've planted 5 or 6 because the donations that come in are grouped and then it helps buy the trees and run the event. So that's what we have historically done. All those trees have been put in for the memorial forest.
Right.
So my question is donations. Are they variable? Or they're like a fixed rate? If you want to have your name on a plaque in Long Point, you gotta put in $100 or something like that?
No, the donations are made in memory of a loved one, and we get donations from $20 to $100 or whatever, but it just goes into towards the memorial forest. It's not a specific tree or specific plaque. We do maintain the ledger with all the names of all the people that have received donations, like in memory of. So that's maintained at the Ed Center and it's on display. Jess updates that every year with the names of the people's loved ones who they have donated in memory of. So that is kept, but yeah, it's not a specific donation for a specific tree or an item. We've had memorial donations where if someone wants to do like a bench, we have facilitated that where they want to donate, pay for a bench and put a plaque on. We have done that, but the memorial forest is in the aggregate program.
So one further question is, I think there are 264 people memorialized. Would you get
I'm sorry.
like $20,000 or is that like a total?
The donations we received this past year, I'm not sure.
Last year was between $89,000 received in donation.
Okay. Thank you. Robert.
Yeah, I want to circle back to the reenactment date. I did attend the Saturday day.
There was a Saturday and Sunday event.
Yes, I was horrified, to tell you the truth, that being a United Empire loyalist, the Americans routed the British. I'm hoping someone can tell me on Sunday the British rallied and ran the Americans off the.
Yes, Mr. Chair, they did. I was remiss in mentioning that, but the Americans lost on Sunday.
Oh, I can now rest easy.
And there was also still mention of terrorists being caused.
What was that? All right, good. Okay, with that, as far as duty report, I'll accept a motion that the board of directors receive the general manager's report for September 2025's information. Mover and seconder, Rainey and Shelley. Anyone opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Boardroom updates, Judy or Aaron?
Yeah, I'll start and then Aaron can
Okay.
jump in. So what we're asking for, there's actually a typo in the motion. It should be 28,778. So we're asking for that plus the 21,222 from unrestricted reserves, total of $50,000. So what we're looking to do is get the approval to spend the money to proceed with updating the boardroom here. With the roof has now been replaced, and Tyson, the landlord, will be doing new ceiling tiles in here and lighting. So with that, it's kind of brought this forward to look at the other things that need to be done, because with the new ceiling, is an opportunity to get rid of the curtains and look at doing. So we're looking to do flooring, carpet here with hard floor in the back, blinds, and it'll be 5 large blinds. I've got some preliminary quotes going across the windows with some automation on being able to move them up and down. And then I thought probably need to paint, because this room has not been painted in a very long time. So paint the room because it's only really the 2 walls, and also get new boardroom chairs, not chairs for the gallery, but for the horseshoe, and a couple of desks, probably around 28 chairs. So I feel that all that work can be completed for under 50,000, but I thought we'd bring that forward, and then once the work's done, I can bring a report forward. This project will probably not, depending when the ceiling gets done. It might not get done this year, but I'd like to get plans and get things burned up on a timeline, so. And it's tricky because we have to work in between the meetings in the boardroom. So
Right. So, further questions, Jim?
Yeah, thank you. The lighting level, this is like a half light. Like it's never really bright in here. Well, the new one,
I would suspect, I haven't met with Rick's Electric, but Rick's Electric will be doing the lighting in here. That's Lee Tyson uses for his electrical contractor. Now, in the office area out there, they came in and did all the lighting in the office when we did the office upgrade. So I suspect that the lighting will be similar to the LED lights that were put in there.
thank you.
But I haven't seen the plan, but yeah, I definitely would like,
These are
the lighting needs to be
antique.
better.
40 years of cigarettes.
Sort of like antiques.
And I'll ask Chris, you were a very young boy at that time when people smoked in this room, I'm sure. But you probably remember coming in with your grandfather, don't you? So how long have these curtains been here and when's the last time it was needed?
I think 64,
60, no, like,
when it was built.
Yeah.
And, no, I was on the board of directors
Right.
here when smoking was still loud, and
Right.
cigars were a little bit worse than the cigarettes. I'll say that.
Thank you. Just wondering when you're doing this, and sure, because people with their laptops and their iPads and so on for the future, what about electrical plugs? Conduit maybe putting around the boardroom, has that been looked at?
No, I hadn't factored that into that.
You would just be looking at what's already here, so.
Yeah, underneath the carpet, there's actually the wiring for
For the sound system?
the sound system.
Right,
So possibly I could ask Rick to put
if
some.
there's already conduit there, maybe we could,
Some electrical feed.
something to consider. Forgive me for getting involved in operations. It's.
Just bring your laptop charged up.
Any more questions or comments on? All right, well, thanks for bringing this forward, and the chairs are probably 1964 vintage too.
I think they were like, we end up hardback wood.
Is that right?
The meeting didn't take near as long then.
Right. I'd like to hear a motion that the board of directors approve the staff to proceed with the boardroom renovation. And that the board of directors approve the use of $28,778 surplus fund from the mid-office renovation. And that the board of directors approves the use of up to $21,222 of unrestricted reserves for a total of $50,000 for the project. Have a mover, Mike and Chris. Any further discussion?
What are we doing with the old chair?
Well, we always repurpose all we use furniture, so it probably go into some of the satellite places, Marks or Bacchus or. Yeah, we'll reuse whatever's good. We don't.
I
really
think this
about
chair is
these.
more comfortable than my council chair.
So,
Further questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call that question. Is anyone opposed to the resolution? That's unanimous. Thank you for that. Thank you, Judy. Okay. We're here. Administration review policy. The permits.
So LPRCA staff is seeking approval for this is a brand new policy document. It is a requirement under the new regulation, Ontario Regulation 4124. Requires that all conservation authorities have a policy and procedures document for administrative reviews. So administrative reviews are allowed under Section 8, Ontario Regulation 4124. where one of the following three situations may occur. So again, this is all related to permitting, and the review must come at the request of the applicant if, one, the applicant has not received a notice from the authority within 21 days of receiving an application. So for example, if someone submits an application and they don't hear anything from us, whether or not it's complete or incomplete within 21 days, they can ask for an administrative review. The second is the applicant disagrees with the authority's determination that an application for a permit is incomplete. And the third is the applicant is of the view that a request by the authority for other information, studies, or plans as requested under clause 7.1. One of the regulations is not reasonable. So that's basically if we require certain documentation to make an application complete and they disagree with it, they can request an administrative review. So as per one of the policies that we put in last year, it is the LPRCA's administrative delegation of powers related to permit issuance, suspensions, cancellation, and hearings policy. The general manager is the administrative officer. So it would be Judy who would be reviewing these, and this is to provide her and myself and the planner's guidance on how to deal with these situations. So we're asking that it be approved. Do you have any questions?
Questions or comments? Chris?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, we have to follow the provincial rule. But I do have a little problem with section 7, the authority to delegate. The draft here calls for the authority to delegate the powers to the general manager and secretary treasurer. If I get in my mind the idea of an appeal, you don't go back to the same people that you could have turned it down and have to have a new fresh eye. So I'm suggesting that we don't delegate that authority. Delegate it to the board executive committee, or I thought maybe even the land acquisition committee, where you have the chair, the vice chair, and one member from the municipality where the application is coming from, something to that effect. But I think it should be, the appeal should be to the board, not back to staff.
Leanne?
So I just want to clarify, this has to do with just those three instances. So it doesn't have anything to do with a determination on an outcome of the permit. I just want to make that clear. It has nothing to do with the determination of the outcome, just regarding, like I said, they haven't received notice, or we require additional information. So our policy that we already have in place as our general manager is the administrator.
Because I have right now there's a lawyer that wants to make a deputation to the board to appeal exactly the argument about with the incomplete application. 6 months ago, another agent for an applicant wanting to come to appeal to the board because they can't get their application looked at because it's considered incomplete application. And again, I guess I shouldn't call it an appeal, right? It's a review. But again, I think that should be handled at the board level. So it's a new set of eyes questioning, and you get your input from staff, just like we do at appeals. But I think the review board should not be delegated down. It should be members of the board.
James?
Well, it's not set up for a review board. It gives the applicant an opportunity to make a case to based on those three items. If the application not being complete, that is a problem that we deal with every day. People want to get approvals without providing the information, and we need the information for the board to consider it, or for staff to consider it, and then it can come for a hearing if we can't approve it. So I don't wanna make this a point where they can go try to argue what a vehicle for the situations we have, because we need to require a full application to make a decision.
Can I ask this question, under section 8 of the regulation, is this something that's standardized for all conservation authorities? Or is this something in-house that these 3 items is something that you track?
So section 8. I don't have my regulation in front of me. Let me just go back to my board report.
That is the code from the regulations.
Mhm.
So all conservation authorities have the same code,
Yes, so sorry, yes,
that was my.
this is province wide
Right,
and best practices that have been put out by the province, like Conservation Ontario, is that it's delegated to a staff member to complete.
but this is not to say that if some constituent comes along and has an issue, they're always welcome to approach them. Maybe not for a decision,
Not for permitting.
not for permitting. Chris?
I go back a year or so, an example of a situation in Turkey Point. There are certain sections of Turkey Point that have peat moss underneath, that have to have designed foundations specifically for that. And before we could get a complete application, they were required to do a geotechnical study to find out whether it had that situation underneath or not. What the applicant was willing to do was have his engineer design it as if it was the worst case scenario and spend the $10,000 on extra cement rather than spend $10,000 on a study. But he'd design it as if it was that way, whether it was or not. And that took forever to get resolved, and they would not accept it. It was just an incomplete application, so he couldn't get his permit. And to me, that would be one of those situations where if you had another set of eyes look on it, say, well, that makes sense. If he's going to have his engineer design it that way, there's no need to find out whether the bad stuff is there or not. It's just going to be pretend it is and build it that way. And that's what a board would be able to do, but staff can't do that.
I don't want to be the decision maker. But I hear you, I hear you. And that there are cases, I suppose, that this does happen. Yeah.
I just have one more point to add, just when it comes to these and just for your consideration. So when we are in a hearing process, ideally, that is kind of in a perfect world, the first time the board is kind of seeing this information. Because it's supposed to be kind of a unbiased opinion without having further information that someone else doesn't have. So I think if there was potentially a subcommittee of the board seeing applications before it comes to a hearing, it might result in some conflicts there. That's just some information for you to consider.
You want to make another comment?
Well, so this policy, we did bring the policy in April, which did have. This is just like a policy that lands completing because now, but I was named as the person to review that. This is just a policy on how to have the review for permits under the section 8. But I think it's I don't think it's for the role of the board committee to participate in this.
Good, Mike.
In the last year or 2 years or 5 years, how often does this become an issue?
So through the chair this year, I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me, but I do track all of these, and I think we've got 5 or 6
this year.
shared.
Well, we have a resolution in front of us. If anyone's opposed to the resolution, we'll make it known. It may not carry. So I'll ask for the motion that the Long Point Board of Directors approve the administration review policy for permits required under section 12 of the Ontario Regulation 41-34 as presented. I have a mover and a second. Sorry, question?
Could I put forth a motion that we refer this back to staff and talk to the ministry itself on whether that concept of a conflict, if it's appealable later or anything like that, whether this is the whether it makes sense one way or the other, but
Let me follow process here, if I might, Robert's rule. So I've read a motion. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Then in discussion, we'll take what you just said prior to vote on
like
the
a rule, a motion to defer, refer, take precedence over a motion on the floor. So if I put forth a motion to refer it back to staff to get a bit more detail, that would take precedence anyway.
Yeah, and I understand that. I'm just following process here. And I'm, Robert, you're the expert at this. Do you put a motion on the floor and then ask for a motion to defer?
If you defer the motion, or if you want to defer the report, you do it this way. If you're going to defer the motion,
Do it the other way. You're right. You're right. So you want a motion to defer the
Refer it back to staff to get a bit more detail on it.
without calling this one. Okay, so you'd like to make a motion to defer to staff for further information. So got that, Nicole?
Yep.
Go a second. Tom. All right, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor of deferring the motion? Deferring the report. Deferring the report. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed? The motion is carried.
Chairman, can I ask a question? Any decision on these all, they can take it to the, what is it, mines, and who's the authority above the LPRCA?
So you're the chair, there's not really authority standalone, but the tribunal makes decisions, or is the Ontario Land Tribunal. But section 8, I don't believe is appealable to the Ontario Land Tribunal. I'd have to look at.
But with the mines and what was it?
That is no longer.
No longer.
It's no longer, so that is 3 or 4 ago, so mining and lands. And then it was
Still Ontario Land.
municipal board. And then Ontario Municipal Board, and then it was the local planning and bill tribunal, and then now it's the Ontario Tribunal.
Right.
It merged a bunch.
Thank you.
Mr. Robert's rule of order, if I may ask, does that mean it's coming back for the next meeting?
for what's stipulated, but it's just referred back to staff,
Right.
unless he wants to put it.
We've already passed it.
I just assume they'd come back. It shouldn't take long to get the detail.
Very well, thank you. Okay, that pretty well concludes the meeting for tonight. Just before we close, we have some bittersweet news from member Lee. We have in the back room, please welcome the mayor of VAM, Ed Ketchabah, which I don't think is a stranger to anyone. Maybe Deb, you haven't met him yet, have you?
No.
He's a pretty good guy. He's a former member of this board for a few years, so he's quite comfortable in there. He knows what our mandate is, and he's, my opinion, he's good for conservation. We'll just leave it at that. That sounds good. So Rainey, you'd like to make a comment from bittersweet comment. Give you the floor.
Nothing like putting me on the spot.
That's right.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so for those that know, I accepted a new day job, so that does require some significant travel out of town, so it has been challenging, and my commitment is to my community and to BAM to complete my term, so I have rendered my resignation from the board. But I would like to thank each and every one of you for the opportunity to work alongside you. It has been an amazing experience and I've loved every minute of it. I was on the Bacchus last year on the board as well, so that was a great experience as well. So keep up the great work and I'll be watching, not to worry. So thank you so much.
So I think we all wish you well, and I think we'll all maybe shake your hand before you leave, and thank you for the donuts. So it was very. I will say that you certainly have a passion for conservation. When you first came here, you came out a couple of meetings before you were appointed, just to see what was going on and to watch it closely. So it's and I remember you were asking me for some minutes and so on that I can share with you just to do a study of it. And what about your replacement?
Unreputable.
I have every confidence.
As BAM council suggesting a name replacement for this. Obviously,
Oh, we've already done that.
It's already
Yeah,
been
we're
done.
all set. Yeah, we're just waiting for Malahide.
and can accept Mr. Ketchum after our next meeting.
For sure.
So
For sure.
we wish you the best, and
Thank you so much.
for those that don't understand, apparently this little bit of travel you're doing, a lot of it's going to be in Ottawa.
That's
It's
correct.
not as if you can just sort of scoot in and out in half an hour. It's quite a bit, so we sadly missed, and we wish you greatness in your future,
Thank you so much.
in your career. Thank you. And thank you for your service here. It's been great. Good. All right, with that, the next meeting is November 5th at 6:30 PM unless there's an emergency and call of the chair. And then of course, the budget meeting is on 13th at 9:30. Here in the room, and I believe sometime in September, we have a meeting or in October with finance. What date is that? 24th is finance committee. So that's at 9:30, right? During the hearing, correct? There's nothing further, is there, for the betterment of conservation? Adjourn. Thank you.